Welcome to The Hole. I am Rob Sprance, and I am joined by Richie Castellano, who a lot of our fans know. Say hello, Richie. But we are super honored because Adrian Smith is with us, who has just put out a new record, a new project with Richie Kotzen, which is absolutely fantastic, and Smith Kotzen. Now, Adrian, I am a longtime fan of yours. Richie's a longtime fan of yours. I've spent countless hours butchering some of your solos on those guitars behind me, and I'm very mad at you for that, for me never being able to pull that off.
I'll put it a few in my time, don't worry.
But first of all, congratulations on the record. It's fantastic. It's really cool to hear you in a different light.
Thank you. Yeah. I wanted to do an album like this for a long time. I grew up when I was 15. I heard Deep Purple for the first time, an album called Machine Head. The band Free was very popular at the time in England. Mm-hmm. That when I heard that, it changed my life, when I was a kid. And, I still listen to that music. I still love that music. And I've wanted to make a more hard rock sort of stroke with a touch of blues record for a long time, probably 10 or 15 years. And I ran into Richie. I bought property in LA, met Richie. I love what he does, with his singing and playing. And we started working together and we really hit it off, so that's how it all came about.
Yeah, and you can really hear, the chemistry there. And it's impressive to know, too, for the most part, you guys played pretty much everything on the record. I know there's some guest drumming from Nico and there's some guest appearances, but for the most part, you guys did pretty much everything.
Yeah, well, it started off early part of 2019. We got together. We had done some sort of jamming, some fun jamming, and we'd play Stevie Ray, Humble Pie, that sort of stuff. I mean, I love all that old rock stuff. I've got a studio. Well, this studio you see here, I've got a little kit, and Richie would come around, a few friends, and we jam. Anyway, we started. Actually, my wife suggested that we do some work together. So why don't you try and write? See what happens. Mm-hmm. And I have got together with some quite well-known people in the past, and sometimes you just don't have the chemistry. Maybe Richie will know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
With guitars, and it's kind of really awkward and it just doesn't work. But with Richie, I had an idea for the song "Running," which is on the album. Mm-hmm. I had an idea for the verse. I put that down. Richie had a chorus straight away. Bang, we had a song. In an hour. Well, not finished, but it was that spark. And it's not something you get all the time. So you got to run with it and make the most of it while you can.
When you're writing for a project like this, are there songs you already kind of have in your back pocket? Like, oh, I would like to see what the other guy can do with this, is it something you guys both create from scratch to try to create something that's cohesive?
I've got an iPhone with, you probably have too, with loads of ideas on it, waking up in the middle of the night and singing things. But this is all from scratch, and that's normally the way I work. Sometimes I go back and trawl through the ideas or stuff you have on your computer, but this was like, get up in the morning, right, we're going to meet up today. I feel like doing a song like this, let's see what we got. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you get inspiration of someone, helps, and you just sort of roll with it, really. We never discuss, what direction should we play. It was just kind of an unspoken thing,
Yeah, like whatever comes out. So
it was all sort of fresh stuff, really.
Mm-hmm. So at what point do you start thinking, maybe we can make an album out of this? I mean, do you have a couple of songs and then you start to feel that? Or was it even quicker? Was that the plan all along?
Well, we did 2 or 3 songs. We had the song "Running" was the first song we did. Then we had "Scars," a song which has both been out as singles.
Yep.
That one's heavy.
Yeah. It's like a brooding sort of building piece. I always wanted to do a song like that, and so we had that. I think we had one other one. It was a song called "Some People," I think. Anyway, which is on the album. So I had 2 or 3 songs sort of demoed up pretty well. Richie had been playing drum. I mean, Richie will just jump behind the kit when we're writing, and I'll play guitar and he'll play drums. He plays drums quite well, and that's how he ended up playing on most of the album, because we just kept the sort of demos that he'd done, because they were good, But we had a little break. I went off on tour with Maiden in 2019, and Richie did his thing. And then, I played the demos to a few people, and they were like, "But this is good. You should do something with this," So, and I thought it was good, Yeah. So, we got interest from BMG Records, and we did that. And we finished the album 220.
Yeah. So that was the other thing that I was very surprised at, because I thought, you just think, well, this must have been something born from COVID. Like, it's just because you are just relentlessly on tour with Maiden. Like, when they tour, you guys tour. Like, you don't do a little, you tour. So when it's done, for me to I kind of chuckled, because you could have just relaxed for a little while, but instead you went right at it and started making this record. So, it's impressive to the work ethic, and just that you just wanted to keep on going.
Well, I mean, Maiden tour, we tour 3 months a year now. We used to be, even up until fairly recently, it was 6-8 months on the road, but we have a bit more time now. And, I feel happy in the studio, creating, playing. I thrive on that. I like to do other things as well. Like just put a fishing book out, get a quick plug in for that.
Yeah, sure. Which was called Monsters of River and Rock. Which
that's the one, yeah.
Yeah, you can actually go to monstersofriverandrock.com. It's a book where I'm selling the book for you. It's a book where Adrian, not only he loves fishing so much, but he kind of combines his when he goes on tour, where he goes to fish, and you kind of get an idea. I always used to wonder, like, how do you guys deal with that, being on tour for so long? But fishing, everywhere you go, you just look for the next place to go fish, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it was ironic because I was mad keen on fishing up until I was about 15, and then I discovered music, and then everything, sports, fishing, all went out the window. Got to be dedicated, can't be messing around. And it wasn't until I joined Iron Maiden in 1980. Ironically, I started again because Clive Burr, the drummer, was also an angler. So we used to go out, bring our rods on tour, and we go all over the place,
So you have a section in the gear trucks for your fishing equipment?
I do now. I do. Yeah. Sometimes my tech will come in. We've got a day off tomorrow. You want your stuff? Yeah. Thanks. We've got on the truck,
Yeah.
But in the old days, we just used to keep it underneath the bus, because we used to live on the tour bus,
Yeah.
Yeah. So doing back-to-back tours of America, and we used to keep the fishing gear on there. Sometimes you keep worms on the in the banks there, and then you forget about them. And then all of a sudden, I do a bit of
that's a smell.
What's that smell? I've got in trouble a few times for that, but
on a tour bus, there's a lot of smells, so you can blend it all.
True, yeah, there was worse ones than that, I think.
So one of the things about this record too that I was not surprised by, because I've heard you sing with Maiden for years, but to hear you sing lead is you have such a great, like, bluesy voice. Like, it's the first time I've actually gotten to hear you sing by yourself as lead, and I know you guys trade back and forth with Richie, and it's a great compliment to each other, but I was very surprised at what a good voice and how well it fit with the songs.
Oh, well, thanks. I actually started off my career as a singer. It was one of those things, when you're 15, 16, there's a few of you get together with guitars. Actually, me and Dave Murray from Maiden. He'd already been playing a couple of years, and so I got friendly with him because I was desperate to be in a band. I'd heard Purple and Free. I wanted to be in a band, and I said, "Well, I'll be the singer." He said, "Okay," because Dave didn't sing. So I bought a microphone. I got my parents to buy me a microphone, and we all plugged into his little amplifier. This is all in the book, and we started playing, and it was just a magical moment. Although it wasn't brilliant, it was just, I felt the buzz of the electric guitar and singing. And so I was a singer for 5 or 6 years in that band, in different versions of the band, and fronting the band. And I learned guitar as I went along. I learned a lot of Dave because he was more advanced than me. And I did it right up to I joined Maiden. And then I put that aside to concentrate on guitar, obviously. And then, I sort of picked it up again. I've kept, I keep a side band that I do for fun on Sunday afternoons when I'm home. I just play blues and
That's cool.
you know, versions just to keep your chops up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've just wanted to make an album like this because it's just the music I grew up with, you know.
I wanted to point out that I really like the song "You Don't Know Me" because that's a really cool duet that you guys do, and you get to hear the difference of the voices complementing each other. It was very cool the way it worked out.
Well, Richie's just incredible, you know. I mean, he's been doing solo albums for 20 odd years. I mean, he's studied singing. It's with him, and he's just broke apart other his favorite singers and practice and you know. He's dedicated himself. I mean, he's got an incredible voice. He's got more range than I have. I mean, I can sort of, you know, I brought in a lot of verses. Richie usually takes a chorus,
right,
you know, or range, brings it up. But that's a great thing because we've got different skill sets, so we can. It's a broad canvas to work on, you know, because you know we can both we put our abilities together, you know, and it's great to have someone to bounce off. I mean, I've done solo albums before, and it's all right, but you get fed up because everyone's asking, what are we doing now? What are we going to do this? What do you think of this? And you haven't got anyone to bounce off. There's nothing better than to have someone you respect and you know, to say, you know, what do you think of this idea? And back and forth, you know, that's what it's all about, you know.
I want to ask you a couple of guitar questions, if that's cool. Sure. So obviously both of you guys are monster guitar players. So when you're recording this, are you doing your parts separately or together? Are you recording in your studio? He's recording in his studio. How's that coming together?
No, we'd usually start off the day, finishing up a rhythm track, you know, make sure and it's good. Put some, I mean, I'd usually just be in the studio on my own doing my solos. I mean, I'm fairly, you know, familiar with Pro Tools and all that sort of stuff, you know. Richie, I saw him putting down quite a bit of stuff, you know, and it was interesting to see how he works, you know. It's quite amazing, his technique, you know. He's got this unusual kind of finger technique.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was very organic, very natural, you know. Someone would have a part, then the other person would put a part, and so it was very obvious who would play what. Let me try this, you know, and sing something, you know. Oh yeah, okay, then let's do this, you know.
Because just build it. The reason I'm asking is there's the guitar playing's blazing, and I just wanted to know if you heard something he put down and then thought, oh, I have to play this, I have to redo this, and then if it was like competitive almost to see, you know, if it brought each other's level up.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Richie sets the bar pretty high. Let's face it. I mean, you know, he's got amazing technique. I mean, I'm more of a I suppose a blues rock player. I mean, he is as well, but he's done jazz. He's played with Stanley Clarke and fusion and all that sort of stuff, which is, I don't know, it's like mathematics to me. You know? But I can sort of get most of what I want to have a sort of pentatonic scale. You know, I do know other stuff as well, but I think it's feel, you know, just getting your point across. If you have to play a lot of notes, okay, but I mean, Richie's got a great feel as well, you know. But
I mean, like the soloing across the board is very impressive on the whole album. Everything sounds at a very high level. So I was just wondering if you guys were, you know, really, you know, putting a fire under each other to just,
yeah,
you know,
of course, yeah. I mean, it's human nature, isn't it? You know, you don't want to do a lot of slop and then, you know, sit back and go, that's all right. You know, you want to do good work, don't you? I'm never complacent. I'm always trying to learn and, you know, improve, you know, so. You push each other in a good way, you know.
Yeah. Plus, you know, your entire career, one of your biggest strengths is playing alongside another guitarist and harmonizing and playing melodies together. And, you know, I even remember back, oh God, this is so long ago when, Hearing Aid did Stars, like you guys still were together, like as a tandem in doing that, you know.
Terrifying, man. That was terrifying.
That's right.
Jimmy Bain, God rest his soul. He got in touch with us because I knew Jimmy a little bit, and we knew they were doing a charity record, so we couldn't really say no. But I knew it was going to be like, you know, there was like Ingve and all these shredders. You go in the control room in Hollywood. It was like there was women everywhere, and there was loads of people in the control room, and it was full of smoke, and it was, you know, but I just said to Dave, let's just do something melodic and get out of it. You know? I don't want to sort of, you know, and it was all right. I think Ronnie Dio was producing it. I love Ronnie, lovely guy. And I think he might have been a bit relieved we didn't want to do like, you know, an hour's worth of solos. You know, we just did our bit and then.
Yeah, but
that's for a good cause, I suppose.
Yeah, but at the same time, like that section stands out because it's not just one person after another, you know, doing their part. Because you know, as much as we all love guitar, like at minute 6. Okay, you know, and then you know, which kind of actually brings me back to this record again. One of the things that I really enjoy about it is, you know, it's sometimes the chorus is a lost art with some rock these days. And there are so many catchy choruses on there, and I know that's kind of always been in your writing style. I mean, you wrote "Wasted Years," which is such a catchy song, and you know, choruses, you know, they make a song. So when I first heard "Taking My Chances," you know, of course it starts off with this blazing riff, but when the chorus hit, it's almost a relief. It's like, oh yes, there's a really good song in here. So you know, I was very impressed by all of the choruses on because I like that kind of stuff. I like when a song has something just so catchy that you sing it long afterwards. And in hard rock, sometimes it becomes a lost art where the chorus just kind of falls by the wayside.
Yeah, it's a difficult balance to strike. You know, if the chorus is too melodic, it takes away from the toughness of the track. It's a real fine balance. You know, I mean, that particular track. It's funny, I was watching one of those podcasts where the guy reacts to the track, and he had to be taking my chances. He's listening, and he hears the riff, and he goes, typical Richie Kotzen riff, that. And it wasn't. I wrote a riff. And the chorus, Richie wrote the chorus, which is melodic, you know. Yeah. So you never know on this album. That's why we want to get out and play it live, you know, because you give people a chance to see who's doing what, you know.
Yeah, that brings to the next point. I mean, that has to be frustrating. Whereas, you know, normally what you would do instead of talking to bozos like us, you would get out there on the road to promote the record. You would do things like that, which you just can't do, at least, you know, to the scale that you like. I mean, Richie, you know, even in his case, they can't really tour that much. They don't, you know, they can't do as many shows because clearly there's a pandemic happening. So, I mean, are you still planning on doing that as soon as things lighten up?
Yeah, I think everyone's waiting for the green light. Things are certainly looking better for the end of the year, maybe before that.
Yeah.
You know, the main thing is, you know, if it's safe to do so, you know. Right. I heard that some of the southern states are opening up, Texas and Florida. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we'll see. But yeah, we definitely like to get out. We were planning to do it because we're proud of the album, and you know, it's you know, when someone's serious about something to take it on the road, you're putting yourself out there. You know, all right, we're going to play it live now. So
yeah,
you know, hopefully in the future. I mean, we definitely want to do some more writing, and we'll see. Maybe we'll do another record. You know, we enjoyed it last time. So
yeah, when something comes naturally like that, you can't just shut it off. You know, and that's another thing too. Like I've heard, actually, I watched some of Richie's interviews, and he doesn't talk about it as a one-off either, which is great. Like he just, you know, it's there is no reason why this can't coexist with other projects.
Yeah, I mean, and this was all conceived before the lockdown thing. It was nothing. Some people think, you know, you just did it because it was a lot, but it wasn't. It was all finished just before the lockdown. So, and we planned to tour. The album's out 26th of March, and we were going to do some dates in April, but
well,
that's not going to happen.
at the time that this is out, the record is out now. So anyone who wants to get it can go to smithkotzen.com. One of the things that's very cool about it, too, is you don't necessarily just have to get the digital. They're offering vinyl. They're offering signed. They're offering all these different... I saw you posted on Instagram today. You were signing 50,000 of these inserts and things like...
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm glad you're still, releasing packages and box sets and things like that, too, because let's face it, I've mentioned many times what a fan I am, and some of my first albums were yours, and getting that big record, and pulling it out, and the fold outs and everything else, like it's another lost art. That's
it is a little, isn't it? I mean, you can sort of appreciate the artwork more. I mean, especially with Maiden as well. I mean, that's a big part of the thing. But I mean, you can get the Smith Kotzen stuff. There's all sorts of bundles. There's T-shirts and signed albums and that. I mean, you have to check it out. But it's all on the website there. Mm-hmm. It makes it a bit more special. Also, the music gets out there. It's a very strange climate now with YouTube, and now your music gets out there before you've even barely released it. So. We hope people will support the album, and there's a little bit of me that says keep the rock alive. There's still a lot of people like to listen to that sort of stuff. It might not be on the Grammys and all that, but it
was never your bag anyway. You didn't need the Grammy. That was never your bag anyway.
No, we got nominated once. It was funny, yeah, and it was one of those daytime things, and we all got dressed up. Our wives really we didn't want to go, our wives said, well, we got to go to Grammys LA to get dressed up. And it was during the afternoon, and it was pretty brutal, because they were trying to rush people. I remember Sheryl Crow got an award, and she was right at the back of the hall, and Sheryl Crow, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And she got up to, and they could see the director looking at his watch, and she didn't even make it on the stage, and they canned it. And we got nominated for something. So I was sitting there with my speech in my stupid speech in my top pocket. Of course, we never won it. The Deftones won it or something. And so I walked home. But Peter Frampton was sat next to me as well.
That's awesome.
And he was in the same boat. He was nominated. He didn't win either. So we both kind of walked out of there with our heads down, But it was an experience. Never again.
Yeah, that was never your thing. Like you guys never needed a radio player or anything like that. But what's you did bring up the technology part, and I was curious, aside from YouTube, and you know what, there's goods to that too, because Taking My Chances has almost 500,000 views. Yeah. I mean, so there's good to that because it's a great video, and I think just people needed it at the time it came out. It was perfect timing. But what about the process, and what about technically for you? Does technology play more of a part now? Are you into the amp modeling a little more, or are you still old school amps, plugging it in, miking it, and everything that goes with that?
I'm a bit wary of modeling and digital stuff because, I had a band called Psycho Motel back in the 90s, did 2 albums. And the first album, I got this guitar processor, plugged it in, and it sounded massive. It was all like loads of gain, and everything you played sounded amazing on it. But I listened to it now, I was like, oh my god, it's like a chainsaw. I don't think you can beat a good valve amp. With a little bit of gain, it maybe it stands up more. It's more classic. When all the records I love, that was what they used, And the trouble is with technology, it's sort of, it gets, things are just changing so quickly. A sound that's cool, in 5 years will be uncool.
Yeah, I get.
I've got one of those Kempers, and I only bought it because there's one sound I like on it, and I've never really played around with it. But the crazy thing is, I mean, you could probably sample a sound off a record, a guitar sound, and get that exact same sound. Something really strange about that.
It's a violation against nature.
Right? Yeah. All the years you spent struggling. I used to tear my hair out looking for a sound, that probably didn't exist, but until I found out, it's here and here, really, and here a bit, how you think about it. But I don't know. Technology. We use technology. We use Pro Tools, and stuff like that. That's convenient for us now,
Sure.
So there's good and bad, isn't there?
Yeah, I guess when you're passing ideas around. Good, Richie. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. Was there like a specific rig you liked for this album? Like, is like this particular guitar amp combination the sound of the Smith Kotzen album, or did you,
sorry, go on.
Or did you bounce around a little bit depending on the song?
There's a warehouse full of gear in England that Iron Maiden have, and all my stuff is in there. I've got like 40 guitars, loads of amps, everything, all my rack stuff, all my touring. And I didn't have access. I was in America. I didn't have access to any of that. So I had 2 guitars. I had a Les Paul Standard, and I had my signature model, Jackson signature model. But those 2 guitars there, actually. Anyway, I think you can see them. So I just used them, and used a Marshall JCM 2000 a little bit, and Richie's Victory amp. We used that a lot on most of the stuff, and a few little boxes here and there, a little bit of wah. That's it, really.
That's it. Yeah.
Didn't really, it's very. And the guitars are tuned down a half step, and then drop the E string on some of them. The song run-ins, bottom strings tuned down to C sharp. So
Nice.
that's a bit of a nightmare with a Floyd Rose.
Yeah.
So I've got a batch of guitars now, especially for Smith Kotzen, which with those semitone tuned down. With the
So you can
drop
just just pick it up and play it. Yeah, you don't have to.
Exactly. Yeah, I just hate all that messing around with guitars that don't, not in tone properly, and I just like to keep it simple.
Sure, no, it makes sense. And now you had a special guest play on this album as well. Nico from Iron Maiden came and played drums for you as well, which is great.
Yeah.
And this is for no other reason than for me to humble brag that in 2003 I caught his drumstick at Madison Square Garden, and when he threw it farther than the expensive seats, and I was able to catch it.
every time Nico does that, our manager is like, I hope he doesn't injure somebody. Yeah.
It has all
backstage of like a drumstick sticking out of her eye.
And
just cancelled lads were being sued.
So as a testament to how he plays.
Oh, cool, by the way.
The best part of this is this part of the drumstick is completely fine. However, this half is completely destroyed. So,
wow.
So I mean, he was beating his drums. He is. He certainly is. So it was cool that you were able to get him on the record too. But I can't express enough like how cool it is to hear you do something different. You mentioned that classic rock. There's a song called "Solar Fire" on it, which is really has a callback to that classic rock sound, big time on it. And it's just so cool to hear something completely different coming from you. It's great.
Yeah, it's just like I say, it's music I grew up with. I'll always love that kind of music. I mean, I was into metal as well. I loved Sabbath and Priest and all that when I was a kid, of course. But I always had a soft spot for the hard rock. And Nico came down and we sent the song to him. As you could do now. We sent it down a wire. He went in the studio where he lives, put the drums down and sent it back. Did a great job, of course. I loved Nick. He was a fan of his before. He was in the Pat Travers band.
That's right.
In the late 70s,
Yeah.
He's been he started off as a jazz musician when he was 15 in his father's jazz band. His father was a trumpeter. And Nick, I don't think he went straight from school. He never went to work. He was a musician as you can see, probably tell. And he can play a lot of it. He plays incredible funk drums as well, as well as metal chops. I mean, he can do anything.
Yeah. Are you self-taught, or did you take classes early on when you started? Because you mentioned that you started playing at 17, and I started at 16, so it makes me even more insecure because I'm not even a tenth of what either one of you are.
No, I started playing at about 15.
Okay.
Self-taught completely. Well, so I learned off friends of Dave. I learned Dave Murray a lot when I was first starting, the basics, the bar chords. But really, I mean, my dad sent me to guitar lessons. He said, well, you're going to have to learn properly, but it was so boring, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I said, no, I just want to play, rock and roll.
So can you read sheet music? Can you read sheet music?
No.
You don't need to. I mean, see, Richie, he doesn't need to know sheet music. He's an Iron Maiden. Oh, you don't either?
You guys read?
So, see, here's the thing with Richie. Richie is one of the most talented people I've ever seen. He's able to get behind any instrument, hear something, and start playing it immediately. He's a great guitarist as well. He's all over the new Blue Oyster Cult album in such a great way. And, I always, whenever I see him play and with his friends, for some reason, everyone he knows is incredibly talented too. I don't know what's in the water in Staten Island in his neighborhood, but he just has like a guy comes and delivers pizza and then sits behind the keyboard and just starts just going, So for me, as someone who just, diddles once in a while, to see you guys not be, professionally trained and yet still be so good, it's even more impressive.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I wish I did know more theory, but I'm sort of person. It becomes a bit like mathematics. If it gets too, you get to a certain point, and if you can play enough to please yourself, write and you convey what you want to convey, that's good. I must say, I play with guys who read, and it's impressive. They come in, you write out, or someone writes out the music. I did a project a few years ago. Never met the guys. They came in and played the song perfectly. Quite amazing. Really it is. And so, hey, full respect to those guys as well.
Yeah. So what's next for you, Adrian? I know we have a limited time with you, and I don't want to keep you too long. But are you just waiting to get out on tour for this album? Is that the next step when things open up?
Yeah, we'll definitely be looking at, and we'll be preparing in the event. You never know. The thing is about the pandemic, things are changing all the time, and you have to almost be ready to go at short notice. So with maybe at the end of the year, who knows? Be nice to do some touring.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you ever make it to New York, I'll be there for sure. Congratulations again on a fantastic album. Once again, I want to let everyone know you can not only pick up Monsters of River and Rock, Adrian's book, by going to monstersofriverandrock.com, but go to smithkotzen.com. And there you go. He got it right there. Go to smithkotzen.com. Don't just get the digital version of it. You can't pre-order at this point because the album's out, but get some of the physical media. Support these guys for putting together a great album at a time where we really need some good music. And Adrian, thank you for all of the years of great music that you've given us. There are no words I can use to thank you for all the joy you've given me, and I know Richie as well for sure.
Definitely.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Nice talking to you.
Same here. Best of luck to you, and hopefully I'll see you on a stage soon.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
See you out there.
Well, that was fucking awesome, dude.
Oh, yeah.
That is a, for, I think both of us, that's a big one for me.
It was very hard to say, how do you play this thing? How do you play that thing?
I know.
I really wanted to do that. Hey, pick up that guitar. Show me how to play this thing.
I know. What a class act and a gracious guy. But look, we're incredible Iron Maiden fans. And when I was able, look, you guys who watch us every week, that most of the time I just have on people that I admire, but they're not always easy to get. And I sent this invitation months ago, so I know the people who are watching this are Maiden fans. And, he had this album is so important to him, and we wanted to make sure it was out there. And I didn't want to just talk about Maiden incessantly, either. But, the other part of why I wanted to just kind of continue for a minute is because I haven't had Richie on since he released the album with Blue Oyster Cult, which is over and above expectations in so many different ways. And I know you played such a major part, and he's going to start getting shy. And
no, I'm not shy. Just the reason I haven't been on is because I talk to you every day and I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm already talking to you.
I know Richie and I play space VR games together. We're space boyfriends.
No, we don't. We're cool and we party and talk to chicks all the time.
Yes, that's right. We just talk about that to deflect. But you should make sure to also, in addition to Adrian's album, please check out Band Geek Podcast, who still to this day puts out great videos. But the new Blue Oyster Cult album, Symbol Remains, is just phenomenal. And Richie has his own song that he sings, Tainted Blood, which is one of my favorite ones on the album. I'm biased because I'm a little gay for Richie, but
oh my God. It's not going to take that much to turn me to the other side for you, Rob.
But congratulations on that too, man. And you've done a great job. So you should be really proud of that.
It's funny. Like when we were listening to Adrian talk about how they made their album, very similar with the Blue Oyster Cult album. Like we recorded the basics. Drums, bass, rhythm instruments, like some of Buck's guitar before COVID, and then COVID hit right where we had to start doing all the overdubs. So it would have been nice to be in a situation where we were in a room together, but we just couldn't. So we had like a half and half sort of production where we were in the studio to get the vibe of the band playing together, but then we were separate for overdubs. But the cool thing was, the way we're communicating right now, that's how we communicated to do the overdubs. We actually, if you look on the album, there's 3 production credits. It's Buck Dharma, Eric Bloom, and me, because what we were doing is we were actually producing each other. I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't want to, it's so easy. You have your own studio. I don't want to record by myself. I don't want to, if this is a solo album I'm doing, I'll record by myself. But I'm thinking like, no, this is a Blue Oyster Cult album. I really should not be left alone to do this. Right. So I would call up, Eric, or I'd call up Buck, and I'd say, hey, I'm going to do this vocal thing now. Can you please just hang out and watch me sing? Okay. And it was great because, especially on background vocals, because Buck would be like, oh, I want you to shorten this syllable, and I want you to phrase this, and I want you to dip. Like he was really producing, like, and then the same thing would happen on the other time. Like there would be a tune I wrote, and Buck would be like, oh, I'm not really sure what you want here. I'm like, well, how about this? Why don't you play? And I'll jump on the video chat and we'll talk about it. And it was great because I got to watch him play for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? On a song I wrote, which was amazing. Yeah. So and the same thing with Eric. Like Eric we would just talk. He'd listen to stuff like, you have one chorus too many in this song, and we would really talk about it that way. And we had a great basis to work on because of the rhythm tracks from Jules and Danny were so strong that we were able to just really layer on top of that. And a lot of times if the rhythm tracks are not good, the more you put on top of it, the worse things start to sound. Yeah. Because they were so good, we were able to really load things up. And I'm honored that I got to do as much as I got to do. And I'm very proud of it. And thank you for bringing it up. I know this is an Adrian show, but I appreciate you putting the plug in there.
No, that's okay, because anybody who's watching this also, I'm sure, would love the record as well. Look, BOC is one of the testaments to half of what a lot of modern progressive rock is. They're one of the cornerstones of it. Like you listen to bands like Ghost, and they literally pull stuff like feeling and just songwriting tricks from BOC. That first Ghost record was a BOC tribute album in a lot of ways.
Well, to bring this whole episode full circle, when I read some of the reviews on The Symbol Remains, a lot of people mentioned Iron Maiden because the other guys aren't there. Blue Oyster Cult came before Iron Maiden. You know what I mean? But I love Iron Maiden, so me being influenced by that band, by especially the guitar work of Adrian, Dave, Yannick Gers, like all those guys, that's a big influence on me. So I was able to bring some of that into Blue Oyster Cult. It's not like an intentional thing, like you say, oh, I'm going to put this Iron Maiden-ish thing in here. It's like, no, it's just,
right. It's just in you.
You listen to something your whole life, and it just becomes part of what you do. And, one thing I wanted to say to Adrian is he was talking about having to learn Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. But the funny thing is now today kids learn Iron Maiden when they want to pick up a guitar. They learn stuff that he did. So, because he didn't, I almost feel bad because he didn't have the benefit of learning from Iron Maiden.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And and you and I do, we get to build on the backs of giants.
Yeah. Although I'm sure he had some Blackmore. He mentioned Deep Purple and stuff like that too. So there's always some before the others. It's how the cycle is. And to add another little full circle here, when I saw Maiden, the opening band was Ghost. So there's another little another little loop. But when this interview came about, I thought of you right away, and I'm so glad you were here to do it with me. It was great. And once again, check out richiecastellano.com. He's got go to that site. Everything he does is right there. And you will go down the wormhole of Band Geek videos that I have done way too many times before. And
thank you, Rob.
So that's it. I guess you get to do the out with me. Thank you for listening to The Whole. I am Rob Sprance.
I'm Richie Castellano.
Later, motherfucks.